What's up? Welcome to this week's edition of UC Sports. Alongside Netanya Archibald, I'm Noam. We're back from a one-week hiatus, and boy, do we have a lot to cover. UConn basketball season started with a bang last week at first night in AAC Media Day, and the fun didn't stop there.
That's right, Noam. Not only basketball season's right around the corner, but fall sports are making the turn towards a home stretch. It's an exciting time to be a Husky.
We've got a lot to cover tonight. I'm ready. I sure hope you are too. Buckle up. We're in for a good one. UC Sports starts right now. The UConn Huskies soccer teams have made the turn for home and are capping off seasons going in opposite directions. We'll start with the women. On Thursday night, they fell 2-1 in a hard-fought battle against a tough Memphis team that is nationally ranked. Then on Sunday, the Huskies welcomed Tulsa into Maroney Stadium for the final UConn women's soccer game at Maroney Stadium. Alexandria Palmer has the scoop.
The UConn women's soccer team held their senior night, rounding out their season at Maroney Stadium.
The stadium's just a part of the history. It's a part of, you know, for generations after generation, 80s to all the way to now. It's stayed consistent, and there's been a lot of wins in this stadium. There's been a lot of, NCAA tournament games in this stadium, and just the stadium is iconic for the women's soccer program.
It was a cold, windy Sunday as the Huskies took on Tulsa. It was senior day celebrating 5 players. The game did not go as the Huskies wanted to. Tulsa took the lead in the first 20 minutes. The Huskies couldn't find their rhythm in the first half, and the score would be 2-0. After halftime, UConn had most of the possession, but could not find the back of the net. The Huskies had some trouble with offsides as they accumulated 5, and Tulsa only had 1 the entire game. Tulsa would score once again, making the lead 3-0. This would be the final score, and UConn fell short. The shots were 13-10 in favor of the Huskies. It was a tough loss for the Huskies. They will hit the road and travel to Temple on Thursday. From Joseph J. Maroney Stadium for UCTV Sports, I'm Alexandria Palmer.
The women have had a tough first season under head coach Margaret Rodriguez, but have been playing better of late and look to finish the season on a high note as they travel to Temple in Eastern Carolina this week to finish off their regular season slate. I'm thrilled to welcome in Danny Barletta, our do-it-all analyst. Danny, what's the key for the Huskies in these final 2 games of the regular season?
I think the key is just to not focus on how bad this season has been for them. They got 2 games left on the road. Just try and go undefeated on that final road trip. Nothing puts a bad season to rest better than a good finish. It'll let the seniors go out on a positive note, and it will give the younger players, some hope going into the offseason for the upcoming season.
Yeah, you talk about going into the next season, finishing off strong. What can this team look forward to next season? And in their second year under head coach Rodriguez, what do you expect to see from them?
I expect a real turnaround. Most of the teams coming back, and I don't think the transition period for Coach Rodriguez is going to last more than 1 season. She's been a part of this program for a long time. She has a great attitude, and I think with a year of head coaching under her belt, I think she can bring the program right back to where it was just a few seasons ago. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish above 500 and compete in the American Conference tournament next year.
I really agree with that. Like you said about Coach Rodriguez, she's not going to let this team continue to struggle. They're going to improve, and that improvement's going to come next season. Meanwhile, the men's soccer team is hitting their stride at the right time. On Tuesday night, they hosted BC and went up 3-0 early, taking advantage of the holes in the BC defense. The Huskies took the lead in the 29th minute off a heads-up free kick deep in BC territory. Josh Burnett sent the free kick in, and it was finished by, yes, you guessed it, Abdu Bakijam. Burnett continued his impressive game with 2 goals, the first in the 43rd minute and the second in the 51st. That goal put the Huskies up 3-0. BC rallied late, but the Huskies held on for a 3-2 victory. On Saturday night, UConn played their second game in a 4-game homestand, hosting and defeating Temple in an AAC conference matchup. Ryan Kim has the reporting on that one.
As the near 50-year history of Joseph J. Maroney Stadium winds down, UConn men's soccer is having one of its best home schedules yet. On a brisk Saturday evening against the Temple Owls, Husky heroics came to action and added to the undefeated home slate. UConn and Temple played a defensive game through the first 45 minutes, minimizing shots on either end. UConn's few attempts were right to Owls keeper Simone Lefebvre, with the closest Husky opportunity coming from Cole Venner, who pushed one just to the right. A few minutes later, the Owls struck gold on an Elias Helgren Villegas bullet to the left post to put UConn in a 1-0 deficit at the break. The teams kept it knotted until Temple's physical play got them in the 62nd minute. A Temple foul inside the 18 tipped the momentum swing in UConn's favor. Abdou Bakijam doubled down to knock in the penalty kick for his 10th goal of the year. But he wasn't done yet.
I'm not thinking about my goals, but I know sometimes it's going to make me happy, it's going to give me more confidence for the next game. But I just want to put the team first because without them I can't score any goals.
With overtime looming, UConn was having none of it. The hero, Abdou Bakijam, finished this one off with a beautiful rainbow chip shot that proved to be the dagger, ending the game 2-1 UConn.
I thought the last 15 of the first half and the entire second half we played with urgency, and it was just a matter of time before we broke them down.
UConn carries the momentum into Tuesday's action against Vermont back here at Joseph J. Maroney Stadium. From Maroney Stadium, I'm Ryan Kim, UCTV Sports.
Bakijam's 2 goals brought his total to 11 on the season and 39 in his illustrious UConn career. With the win, the Huskies improved to 9-2-2, including an 8-0-1 record at home. The Huskies finished their home slate this week with a non-conference matchup Tuesday against Vermont before they play their final home game at Maroney Stadium on Saturday. Both games are at 7 p.m. But wait, we have some late breaking news from the UConn blog's Ian Bethune. If the Huskies are able to maintain their status as the top team in the AAC, the conference tournament will be hosted here at Maroney Stadium. They would postpone construction on the historic stadium here in Storrs. That being said, the final 2 regular season games are crucial, so get out there and support the Huskies. A busy start to the season has brought the UConn women's hockey team to 4-2-1 overall. This past weekend they tied BU 1-1 and fell to Merrimack 3-1. This week they travel to Brown and Union College. It's my pleasure to welcome Danny back to talk hockey. Danny, who's the X factor on this team?
The X factor is definitely sophomore forward Morgan Waybick. She leads the team with 4 goals in the first 7 games, and she's tied for the lead with 7 points. In the last 3 games, she scored 2 goals in the win against Holy Cross. She scored the only UConn goal in the tie at BU, and she peppered the Merrimack goalie with 11 shots on net in the loss. She's a real spark plug for this offense.
What expectations does this team have in mind? How far can a talented squad that did pretty well last year bring them in this 2018-2019 season?
Well, last year they had a pretty average regular season, but they really turned it on in the Hockey East tournament when it counted, and they ended up making it to the championship game whether they lost to Northeastern. I think this year, after a season like that, the expectation is that they're going to perform better in the regular season, which they have already showed signs of doing, get a higher seed in the Hockey East tournament, and win that tournament to get a spot in the NCAA Women's Hockey Championship. Based on what I've seen from them so far, I think they can definitely hang with any team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the Hockey East this year.
Good to hear. Hockey season's in full swing. We'll take a break, but when we're back, Netanya has everything you need to know on the defending champs.
Hope when you take that jump, you don't feel the fall. Hope when the water rises, you built a wall. Hope when the crowd screams out, you're screaming your name. Hope if everybody runs, you choose to stay.
After a tough loss against number 1 North Carolina, the UConn field hockey team regained their confidence against the Liberty Flames. Maddie Way, Courtney Kennedy, Antonia Tucker, and Cecile Piper all chipped in to score for the Huskies. The Huskies defense allowed the Liberty to remain scoreless for the last 10 minutes of the game. Not only did the Huskies end their one-game losing streak against the Liberty Flame, the ladies also officially clinched the top overall seed in the Big East tournament, which will begin November 2nd and 4th in Lynchburg, Virginia.
From the field to the ice, hockey season is in fact in full swing. The UConn men's hockey team has opened up their season splitting their first 4 games. It started with a 5-2 win at Army, followed by a 4-2 loss at the hands of in-state opponent Quinnipiac. Then the Huskies traveled to Providence and were throttled by a strong Friars team, losing 7-2. But the Huskies quickly rebounded, beating Rensselaer 3-1 on Saturday night. The Huskies scored all 3 goals in the third period, paced by 2 from junior Alexander Payusov and a third from senior Max Coulter. The Huskies carry a 2-2 record with them as the Ice Bus finally returns home to the XL Center on Friday night for the home opener against Maine. Puck drop is at 7:05. Pack it.
Now let's get ready for some football. After not having a weekend of football, the UConn Huskies football team headed down to the Sunshine State to take on the undefeated USF Bulls on Saturday. This was an emotional game for the Huskies as they hoped to rally a win for their teammate Eli Thomas, who was unable to play due to a stroke he suffered earlier that week. With Eli on their mind, UConn's defense seemed to be at an all-time best. During the majority of the first half, UConn's defense was able to limit the Bulls' offense to just 7 points. Linebacker Omar Fort and Santana Sterling both had interceptions for the Huskies, which also led the offense to gain momentum and score early in the game. The Bulls weren't going to let the Huskies snap their winning streak. The Bulls made an 80-yard drive to tie the game up 7-7. Before the Bulls decided to send the Huskies back to Connecticut with a losing blowout, quarterback David Pindell scored a 10-yard rushing touchdown for the Huskies. Running back Kevin Mensah scored 2 touchdowns for the Huskies midway through the fourth quarter to make the score 31-20 Bulls. The Huskies were not done yet. Again, David Pindell ran for a career-high 195 rushing yards and scored a touchdown to bring the score to 38-30 USF. Sadly, the Huskies weren't able to grab their second win of the season, but the Huskies look to return to Pratt & Whitney Stadium on Saturday to take on the University of Massachusetts for homecoming weekend. Now let's get you updated on what went down at Gampo Pavilion on Friday and Saturday. During the weekend, the 11-10 Huskies took on Tulane and Memphis for 2 crucial American Conference matches. The Huskies had a great start against Tulane. Freshman Anna Petrova and redshirt sophomore Gina Foran paired up for a double block party in the first set. Freshman Kennedy Jake Turner, the Texas Torpedo, hit an essential overall .500. Unfortunately, the Huskies weren't able to stop Tulane strikers from attacking the net. On Sunday, the Huskies looked to serve the ball in the right direction as they hosted the Memphis Tigers. UConn's Kaylee Parker had 21 kills for the Huskies, and Anna Petrova and Kennedy Jake Turner both came out swinging with 12 kills each. Senior Elizabeth Klein was also turned up on defense and got 21 digs for the Huskies and matched up going to 5 sets, with Memphis taking the W. The Huskies look to turn things around when they host Wichita State this Friday for another American Conference match.
As we conclude our show, we'll take a look at how the Huskies are doing in the pros. As we all know, the World Series kicks off Tuesday night as the Boston Red Sox, my Boston Red Sox, take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. UConn Husky alum Matt Barnes has been a stud in the Sox bullpen, making 7 appearances so far in the playoffs, compiling 6 1/3 innings and giving up just 1 run on 1 hit. In the ALCS, his Red Sox knocked out Mr. Playoffs, Husky alum George Springer and his Houston Astros. Meanwhile, on the court, cardiac Kemba Walker is setting records. He hit 19 threes in his first 3 games, a new NBA record. He's averaging 35 points per game on a ridiculous 50% shooting from deep. Andre Drummond is also leading the league in rebounds per game with 16.5 while averaging over 17 points per game. That's quite the double-double. Man, the Huskies are taking over the NBA this season.
That's the scoop for the week. Be sure to follow us on social media at UCTV Sports and subscribe to our YouTube channel at UCTV Channel 14 to keep up to date on all things UConn athletics.
For Netanya, Archibald, and the crew, I'm Noam. Have a great week, and go Huskies!